we are going to take a look at how to factor polynomials using Desmos to help us. But first we need to look at a few vocabulary words. Zeros, roots, x-intercepts, and solutions are all the same thing. So if you see any of these words, you are looking at where a graph crosses the x-axis. But factors are different. They are formed from our zeros, roots, x-intercepts, or solutions, and we'll look at that more later. First, we need to look at how to find zeros, roots, x-intercepts, or solutions by graphing in Desmos. So, you could have a quadratic, like we have here. You could have f of x equals, like the second example, or you could have an equation where you have something equal to 0. For any of those, you can use the same method that I'm going to show you. You want to type the equation into Desmos, click on the graph to see exactly where the x-intercepts are, and then those x values are your solutions. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. First, we have which equation could represent a graph with x-intercepts of 4, 0, and -7, 0. You'll notice that it asks for the x-intercepts. So we want to graph each of these equations and see where they cross the x-axis. So if we go to Desmos, we type in our first equation. The first answer choice was y equals x squared plus 3x minus 28. If I click on these x-intercepts, it will tell me exactly what those are. I have -7, 0, and 4, 0, which is what it asks for in our question. So that means that A is probably the right choice, but it's always a good idea to check all of the answer choices. And the nice thing about Desmos is that you can look at all of them at the same time. So let's go ahead and type in the rest of our answer choices. So now we have all 4 of our equations. The blue and the red ones don't have any x-intercepts, so we know that those are not the correct answers. So if we look at the purple one and the black one, we can look at the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts we wanted are +4, 0, and -7, 0, which is the purple equation. So that is answer choice A. Let's take a look at another example. Here we want to know what values of x are solutions for this equation. Remember that solutions are the same thing as x-intercepts, so we really just want to know what the x-intercepts would be. So, the easiest way to do this is to type y equals 3x squared plus 11x as our first equation, and y equals 20 as our second equation. And we are going to look and see where they intersect. This is the same way that we solved linear equations. So let's go to Desmos and type in our equations. We need to make sure that we can see where these two graphs intersect. So you might have to zoom in or zoom out a little bit. And I only care about the x coordinate of these intersection points. So I only care about the -5 and the 1.333. So I have x equals negative 5 and x equals 1.333. Now, my answers are in fractions, not decimals, but let's go ahead and narrow it down. We know that we need a negative 5 as one of our solutions. A does not have a negative 5, neither does B, neither does C. So our answer should be D, but let's go ahead and double check. The fraction was 4/3, and we can make sure that that gives us the same decimal, 1.3 repeating. So we're good. Now let's take a look at factors. To find factors, the first thing you want to do is factor out a GCF if possible. Remember that GCF stands for greatest common factor. So you want to look and see, can you divide all of the terms by something other than 1? Then you're going to find the roots, zeros, x-intercept solutions like we just did in the problems above. Then you need to do a little bit of algebra to find your factors. If one of your x-intercepts is 3, you start with x equals 3, and then you make it equal to 0. So if you have x equals 3, you subtract 3 from both sides, so you get x minus 3 equals 0. And x minus 3 is your factor. If you happen to get fractions, if you have x equals negative 3/8, you first multiply by the denominator, so I'm going to multiply by 8, and then you set it equal to 0, so you add 3 to both sides. And 8x plus 3 would be your factor. So let's look at a couple of examples. For problem number 3, we have the zeros of a function are 2/3 and negative 5. Which could be the function? Now, there are two ways you could do this. We know that zeros are the same thing as x-intercepts. So we could either start with x equals 2/3 and x equals negative 5, and then create the factors. We would multiply by 3, and then subtract 2 to get 3x minus 2 equals 0. For x equals negative 5, we just need to add 5 to both sides, so we have x plus 5 equals 0. This means that 3x minus 2 and x plus 5 are our factors. So that is answer choice A. The other way we could do this is using Desmos. If I type answer choice A into Desmos, and look at the x-intercepts, I have negative 5 and 0.667. Well, 2/3 is the same as 0.667. So either way will work for that problem. Let's look at one more. We want to know what the factors of 36x squared minus 49 are. The first thing we need to check is if there is anything that we can divide both 36 and 49 by. The only thing you can divide both of those numbers by is 1, so we cannot factor out a GCF. Now let's go ahead and type this into Desmos. We have 36x squared minus 49. If I click on the x-intercepts, I get 2 decimals. I'm going to go ahead and write those down. I have negative 1.167 and positive 1.167. Now, it would be easier if it gave us these x-intercepts as fractions, but we don't have that. So let's go ahead and type the answer choices into Desmos. So here we have our equations. If I look at the purple graph, that has x-intercepts at positive 7 and negative 7, so that's not right. The black one has x-intercepts at negative 1.167 and positive 1.167, so that's good. The red one only has one x-intercept, and the blue one only has one x-intercept, so those are not correct. The black one, which is answer choice B, is the one that has the same x-intercepts as our original function. So that is going to be the correct answer.